Great, I get to follow that. Yeah, all right. Well, my name is Bryce Roush. I have been Tony's best friend since 7th grade. And, I went through a lot of versions as far as what was the story I wanted to tell tonight, what was the advice I wanted to give the happy couple. And I decided that I was going to go for advice for tonight and Tony's birthdays and anniversaries. That's right, consummating this thing. Hazel's asleep, so she's not going to hear her dad talk like this. All right. So here's the first one. I have 42 of these. All right, so the first one's a role play my dad told me about. All right, so Alex, you are a lonely farm girl from Dolan, South Dakota. Okay. It has to be Dolan, you'll find out later. Tony, you are a free-range chicken. So you're gonna have to wear your lightest weight chicken costume. And you got in the house. But instead of cluck, you say... Stop! I was gonna say ga.
All right. Bryce, you might be wondering why I'm up here. Tony and Alex know why I'm up here. So I'm so glad you sent Tony your script before you started reading it, because he forwarded it on to me as your lifelong censor. And we made some changes to what you were about to say. So I would like you to read this prepared script. Don't think of it as censorship. Think of it as it's more family friendly this way.
That's the one Dad wanted me to tell.
Leave Dad out of this. The honorable doesn't need to be dragged into your filth. Just read what I prepared for you, and everyone will be much better off.
So you're... Sorry.
Yeah. Start there with my version.
The only person more awesome than Tony is my brother Miles. All right, so if you want me just to sit up here and lie, I might as well read your self-published Wikipedia page. You really want me to do that? Clara.net author? No, I'm not going to do that. Instead, let me tell you about the way that I met Tony and the way that we became best friends. And I'm going to warn you, this gets and feels a little gay, but it's not gay. All right. So, and I really didn't mean to prove any points tonight. So Tony was the only boy in a classroom full of girls in Big Stone City, South Dakota. And so that way, like 9 people in your class, only boy. Tony's all man, all right. He likes sports. I mean, that part of the man stuff, Tony's got. And I sat there with my class. I was 1 grade ahead of him, which is why I'm so much taller. And I was like, God, that guy just looks miserable. What can I do to befriend this giant monster? And what I came up with is totally normal. I hand drew one of my favorite Far Side comics, and I gave it to him as a peace offering to offer my friendship. Why would you do that? And so instead of thinking that it was completely weird and random and awkward and maybe a little gay, Tony accepted it, and we kind of knew each other because it is a town of 400 people, so it's hard not to know each other. But and so he traced a Far Side comic and gave it back to me, and that led to multiple other Far Side tracings. And just repeating this, I feel like I'm really opening up to everybody in this room. It was a little weird, but eventually we became very close friends. Tony's a quiet guy, as you mentioned. He's sneaky like that. And, ultimately, you look at his big dumb head and you're like, not a lot going on there. Right? And so you make the mistake of not expecting a whole lot out of him. And kind of like when I did him a favor, and we hung out a lot, pretty much every single weekend, practically every day during the summer, until us Roushes would go golfing. And guess what? Tony couldn't golf. Look at him. He doesn't even look like a golfer. So he decided to get some crappy sticks and started joining us golfing. And it was great because I kicked the hell out of him for a few years. And then eventually he started getting better at golf and better at golf. And, you know, we don't really look at scorecards or anything. It's possible that Tony started beating me in golf. But I will say, Alex, you're a witness. I got my revenge, and I beat him 2 rounds in a row in Hilton's finest mini golf course last summer. So I still ended up on top, but I guess, you know, in the real course, Tony's still beating me. And you never would have thought that would have happened. The truth is, not everything has come easy for Tony. For example, eating peanuts. He grew up allergic to them. Or with a lame allergy. Or growing and then keeping his hair. Or dating in Big Stone City, South Dakota. I mean, you didn't have that many cousins. You could have dated somebody. Or graduating under a decade without a doctorate degree. Or cartwheel contests. This guy sucks at cartwheels. But then again, Tony is an engineer. He is trained to look at the world, find problems, and solve them. And that is what he's done with every single thing, every single obstacle he's ever faced, with the glaring exception of the hair thing. And so those are the same qualities that has made Tony never give up, even when things look bleak, which is what has led him to Alex. And actually, Miles, I had about a couple pages full of online dating jokes. Where'd you put those?
Yeah, so when I went back and reviewed, I noticed that section. It was great. You talked about them meeting and the Match.com and how perfect they're, you know. But there wasn't enough me in that section. So yeah, so I just kind of nixed the whole thing. I just thought it made more sense.
All right. I'm going to tell the story anyway. So we have that version. So here's my version. So Tony and I talk like a gay couple would that doesn't live in the same town, but pretty frequently. But we're, again, not gay. All right, so once every few weeks or so, and I'm talking to him, and he's saying that he's like finally ready. He's gonna put out a Match.com account because he can get it free for 30 days. So like, why not? And you know, because I'm really good at the dating game. Because my last first date was when I was 16 years old. So I have a lot of experience. And so I say, Tony, just as a heads up, it's a numbers game out there. You're going to meet and date lots of girls, and a lot of them are going to be terrible. So just keep that in mind. And so he goes and calls me up, and he's like, this is not going well. All these girls are ugly, and I'm trying, and I only found one girl so far that I even liked, and I sent a message, and I haven't heard anything back. And I go, Tony, I told you, you got to send like hundreds of messages. Go on tons of dates. You don't know what their goal was in creating this account in the first place. And so he finally responds, and he's like, good news, I got one. Like he hooked the big fish. And so I'm like, good, but like just set the expectation. It's probably not going to go very well. So you got to have the backup and the next backup ready to go. Because again, really experienced some super smart at dating. So he's like, I know, I'm going to take her to trivia, which is a horrible move for Tony. Tony, sports trivia, yes. Any other trivia, no. This guy does not read newspapers. He is not like a geography whiz. He can't spell to save his life. Not that that's a trivia, I just wanted you guys to know that. He's a terrible speller. And so, I'm sorry, I heard this was a roast, right? This is a roast. And so Tony gets done with his date, and I remember the thing that he kept on saying over and over and over is like, wow, she is out of my league. And I was like, yeah, probably, which is why it's a numbers game. She's not calling you back, man. You took her to trivia. I was like, how did it go? Like, did you kiss her goodbye? He's like, no, I didn't even touch her. I'm like, yeah, that's a bad date. Just so you know, that's a bad date. And then that date led to the second date,
went to the third date and the fourth date, and eventually those dates, I mean, he talked a Southern girl into going to South Dakota. He's the world's greatest salesman. You look at him, you definitely don't, look at that big dumb face. You would never think that, but he did it. I don't know how he did it. But Alex is the perfect match for Tony. She's also sweet, she's thoughtful. No, I'm not gonna start roasting you. And she has that unique ability to absorb and deflect the insanity around her. I can tell. Right? Like when Tony did bring her to South Dakota. She got to stand on ice, which, a frozen lake, which apparently is a big deal. It's called ice fishing, obviously, but big for her. And she also endured, and if you ever get the chance, I highly recommend this for everybody, dinner with the Val and Paula Rouches. It's a shit show, trust me. And so, yeah, I promise I won't swear. Sorry about that. Hey, Hazel's still asleep? All right, good. Oh, she's not asleep? My bad. All right. I'll pay for that later. And so, for example, a couple things is one, we don't get many Southern accents in South Dakota, so we forced poor Alex, who's just taking it all in, to just say words with her accent. So like, library. We're like, say library. And she'd say austerity. Say austerity. That's a good one. Early onset diabetes. I think we had her say that 3 or 4 times. Early onset diabetes. Oh, probably makes Tony fall in love all over. And I mean, just as a side note, she also witnessed us punch my sister Molly in the face from 2 different angles at the same time. The theory was that she would feel no pain and her head wouldn't move. Both were wrong. Yeah, it was a horrible mistake. Poor Molly. And so I've got a lot of advice, and I will say, my wife right now is sweating because she's like, you do not deserve to give anybody advice on anything, especially like speech advice. But my advice is actually more along the lines of like what not to do versus what to do. And so I do. And Miles, since you're here already, do you have any advice you want to give while you're here?
Sure, I'd love to help out. The only issue is I've been marathoning Lost episodes since Lost Day, so I can't guarantee the advice I'll have pertains to love so much as it does to surviving on an island when you've been in a plane crash, but I'll do my best.
Which I think everyone's going to love. I mean, he's a big Lost fan, so watch the show. All right. So, first of all, so you're going to buy Alex a lot of presents. And during that time, I guess I just highly recommend you listen to her when you ask her what she wants. So for example, if she asks for, Victoria's Secret lotion that doesn't make her break out in hives, just for an example, do not buy her the Kmart version of that same lotion that you think she just asked for that does in fact make her break out in hives. And then also don't give her that lotion in front of me, because if you remember, she's going to look at you saying, are you serious right now? Did you even try this year? That's my first piece of advice that literally happened to me in front of Tony once.
My first piece of advice would be, when you're journeying across the island, make sure you have a handgun, because the polar bear, wait, that's a Lost thing. Okay, I don't think that pertains to love.
Yeah, that's Lost. Okay. Number 2, she loves baking. She's going to send you to the grocery store. Make a list. There is a huge difference between basil and bay leaves. Know the difference. Trust me.
Let's try this one. Desmond Hume. No, that's a character from Lost. I'm trying here. I'm really trying. Not Penny's boat. Does that pertain to love? Love is. Okay.
All right. Sorry about Miles, everybody. All right. So last, another one I guess is never try to finish an entire golf round with a sandwich. Do the right thing. Get back on the cart. It's too short, man. The yardage. You need a 7-iron. It goes way further. You can putt with it, and then you still can say that you were right.
That was a little scary. Okay. I think I have one. So if she ever wants peanut butter, but there's no peanut butter on the island, but there's an empty peanut butter jar, bring her the peanut butter jar and pretend there's peanut butter in the jar and give her fake peanut butter. Because love? Is that?
Okay, never sit in the tail section of the... Oh, never mind. That's the last one, too. Okay.
You know, Tony, many of you might not know yesterday there was a bit of a change in schedule. The best man was supposed to be here for the rehearsal. Best men usually are. And this best man was hanging out on the side of the road between Nashville and Knoxville. And for a very brief moment, I had been elevated to best man. So as soon as Tony let me know that I was best man, you did that, right? Well, that's what I felt anyway. I started working on my speech. I poured over it all night, writing it out, thinking maybe I still have a chance, even though Bryce eventually did show up. I thought I had this great speech prepared, because maybe Bryce will do something else to mess up. I mean, he's been known to do that, like he's been demonstrating the speech with his past history. So I would like this chance to deliver the speech that I've worked all night on for you guys. The speech is this: just live and love. So there you go.
All right, that was weak. No, stop. We got at least 10 more minutes. That's a joke. But, all right, so here's what I'll say. And Alex, you don't even need me to tell you this, but you are the luckiest woman in the world today. And I say that because while I was preparing for this speech, I went down memory lane and I started looking at old photos. And the one thing that I noticed is that throughout the years, Tony's been my best friend. And he is, without a doubt, the best friend that anybody, I think, has ever had. Both sides of the family, my mother's side, my dad's side, they treat this guy like family, to the point that he broke into my grandparents' house once in Dolan, South Dakota. That's where that chicken thing was going, but anyway. And so he's the type of guy that there's texting threads going on right now about who's going to get Tony what, because he is my brother, and you are. As my mom just said, you're my brother from another mother, and yes, she said it like that. That's weird, but she did do that. Ultimately, Tony and I have had a lot of adventures throughout the years. He was there for high school graduations. He was in the room the night before I gave a college graduation speech, helping me with the speech till 2 o'clock in the morning. He was there when my wife and I left home for Philadelphia. He practically ran the going away party. He visited us there. He's visited us everywhere that we've gone in life. He's been that guy that when I need a sidekick, he's there. When I need advice, he's there. When I need that voice of logic and reason, that engineer Tony comes in and he helps me out. He's that guy that really, no matter how my mouth gets me in trouble with my wife, I can call him saying, yeah, I don't think she's taking me back after what I just said. And he gives me the plan as far as what I can do. Usually it's, well, did you apologize? I'm like, forgot that one. Thanks, Tony. And it's been years. It's been since we were 11 and 12 years old. And the thing that I realize now is that that's brotherly love. And he's been compassionate and patient and helpful and kind with me. And it dawned on me the first time I saw you two together, which was when Tony had brought you, kidnapped you, whatever, to South Dakota. And I remember we went to an event at Abbey of the Hills. And I saw Tony, really for the first time in my entire life, holding hands. You guys were doing some weird dance thing. He kept spinning you in circles. And I was like, we're at an Abbey. This is weird. And and what I noticed was love in their eyes. And what I noticed was that as much as he's been my sidekick and he's been there for me, I know that he'll be there. He's been waiting for this his entire life. Just someone else in his life to share his love. Because he has a lot of love to give. And I've seen it as a friend. And for you being his wife, he's been waiting for you his whole life. And I could not be happier that he's finally found you. You will be a queen to him till the end. And I really do wish you guys the absolute best, though you don't even need my wishes, because you guys will make it happen. And so, with that, I'd like everyone to raise your glass. To my brother Tony and his beautiful bride Alex, may you solve your problems together, may your cakes be low calorie, and may you always remember this day when you look into each other's eyes. Cheers.
Got a round of applause for the maid of honor guest, man. Well done.